Back working on the Sno Jet. I think I'm going to get it finished up and make a test run this time. So here's where we're at on this thing. Getting pretty close to welding up the exhaust. It's going to be a nice short little exhaust. I got this little elbow piece. This, of course, moves around. It'll all mate up. It'll make sense when I'm done. That's a big thing. Can't drive it without that. The other thing is there's no clutch guard. So I'm working on a clutch guard from an Indy. It's going to need some big modifications. And Lord knows I might have to clean the carb. So anyways, once I get those things done, I think it'll be time to ride it. I'm going to try without cleaning the carb first, though. It's a Tillotson. It was, in theory, put away with non-oxy gas in it. It's going to depend on if the diaphragms are rock hard or if they're not. So I'll show you when we get there. I just finished up welding the first segment of that head pipe for the exhaust, and I used my wire feed welder here, and I used it for a couple of reasons. First off, the main reason to use a TIG is because you don't want a bunch of stray wires going in disrupting the exhaust flow. Well, even if I did that, which I didn't, I could reach in really easy with the die grinder and trim them out. And the second is, this thing, I couldn't get it totally clean because of the pits and stuff, and that would just be brutal with the TIG welder, as well as the oil on the inside. I mean, you really need much cleaner than I could ever get this. So, still wearing a glove, as you can see, and I wanted to give you a look inside and show you how that came out. Hopefully I've got enough light reflecting down in there, but I got plenty of penetration. I'm not worried about it breaking off. I think it'll be just fine. I'm pretty much done with the exhaust. I thought I'd give you a quick look around before I bolt it down. So gives you a pretty good idea of how it is. It looks pretty good. Get this out of there. So the skedaddler muffler that I used had this mount on it. Well, I like that mount. And so I made up a little plate here. And I will go back and paint this, but I made up a little plate to bolt the mount to on the chassis. And then down at the bottom, just your standard exit hole. And it does kind of an interlocking thing here with the bottom of the muffler. So that's pretty cool. Of course, I got the standard ball sockets on there. I just bought those ball sockets from Manufacturing Supply. They're 1 3/4 inch. I used 1 3/4 inch tube throughout. Seems pretty good. So I'll get her bolted up now. Let's give you a look at the exhaust now that it's all done. Maybe a little explanation. So I'm pretty happy with this. You can see the pipe's nice and straight on. We got the ball coupler where we need it. Down here, this little deal lines up and I can feel up in there, and sure enough, the inner pipe is inside of this piece I welded on and the outer pipe's around it. And I don't know, that seems like it should work pretty good. Send the exhaust out the bottom where I want it to go. So you're probably wondering, if you're not into one-lung snowmobile racing, you're probably wondering, why the Donaldson can nutter? Why aren't you doing a tuned pipe if this is a race sled? Well, first off, it's required by the class rules. The only class you can run an actual stinger pipe on is like open mod. And this is an HR, which is several levels down from there. There's open mod, there's HD, and then there's HR. So I guess it's 2 levels down. So you absolutely have to run a can of some sort. Now, why this can and not the original? Let me grab the original quick. Here it is. Over here. So, if you recall, the original mounted where the gas tank is now. It was right up here. So, it would require some work to fabrication to get it to fit. And that Donaldson, well, it was just a lot easier to fit. Now, the second reason, a couple friends of mine allegedly rented some dyno time back 15 years ago when one-lung racing was much more serious than it is today and much more common. And supposedly they tested a bunch of different types of can exhaust, and they also tested different head pipe lengths. And if what they have told me is to be believed, that Donaldson could be worth 5 horse more than that other one. both because I've got the super short head pipe on it, but just they found the Donaldsons made more power. Now, 5 horse, I don't buy that. You're not getting 5 horse on a 22 horse engine by changing from one can to another, but maybe there's a horse there, maybe one. I mean, every little bit counts. So there we go. I'm really happy with this exhaust, and to me, the real mystery is, why didn't Sno Jet do it this way in the first place? All right, I'm back on the Sno Jet, and with the exhaust done, the next project is some kind of a belt guard / clutch cover. And I've decided I'm going to make it out of aluminum. In fact, I've decided I'm going to make it out of an old Indy clutch cover. And that doesn't fit very well right now, but let's do some arts and crafts on that clutch cover, kids. Let's see what we can do with that thing. Clutch cover arts and crafts update. This is going way too easy. So, for starters, I took that bracket off so I could just pop rivet the hinge, straight down to the tunnel there. Cut one cut through it. You can see I've got a pretty healthy overlap. I'll rivet that back together. Up here at the top, I'm going to weld on a bracket so that I can pop rivet this other piece that was part of the footrest on the Indy. This piece right here. I'm going to pop rivet that down. But that's it. I mean, we're talking minor welding and a little bit of pop rivet work, and this thing will be done. Progress is happening, literally waiting for the paint to dry, but I thought I'd show you the bracket at the top of the clutch guard. So here it is. It's substantial. It's 3/16 of an inch thick. It's got a nice long weld, and I want to remind everybody, the original so-called clutch guard was just this little tab at the top, and it was a flimsy piece of fiberglass that barely hooked into a little bit of a sheet metal bracket at the bottom. It was cosmetic. This is structural. This should actually do something. Well, a bunch of pop rivets later, and we got a clutch guard. So there you go. I like the looks of it. Sure, a lot better than the original. Got her pop riveted down nice and solid to the tunnel. Plenty of overlap, plenty of rivets in there. Plenty there. More rivets than Polaris used on the Indies, so I think it'll be sufficient. So here's a look with the hood shut. We might trim this just a little just to keep it from rattling. Not that you'd hear it on this thing. So there we go. The next step, well, I think the next step is to clean up the considerable mess that I've generated as I've been working on this thing, and get ready to fire it up, move it outside for a test ride. Stick around for the test ride. Well, folks, the time has come. Let's give it some juice and see if that carb pumps. So this has got a Tillotson carb on it, and they're kind of 50-50. The fuel pump is an impulse type, like a Mikuni pump, but it's built right into the carb. And if the diaphragms get all rock solid hard in there, it won't pump, and we'll have to rebuild the carb. Otherwise, it might pump. Either way, we need gas in the tank to find out. Track's off the ground. Hood's open. Give her a little squirt, see if she pulls from the tank or if she doesn't. Ooh, backfire on the first pull. Alright, more squirt. Something smells mousy. Great. If it's not pulling from the tank after that, it ain't gonna. Well, at least not until I clean the carb. Clean the carbs, boys. All right, people. I showed you this running on the squirt bottle, which was just a moment ago on the video, but it was days ago in real life. And, you know, it's not sucking fuel from the tank. So we got the boys here, and that, you know, that can only mean one thing.
Gotta clean the carb.
We gotta clean the carb.
Dennis is kind of a little slow there tonight.
A little slow. So,
just catching up.
we'll get you over here. We'll show you the situation on the carb with the Tillotson. We're going to have to make a special wrench. We'll show you that.
All right, then.
And then we'll get that carb off there and we'll compare it to some other Tillotsons and then we'll clean it. That's the plan.
It's going to be fun.
And stick around because by the end of this episode, we're going to take this thing for a rip and ruin the newly seeded grass on my lawn.
Yes.
While the wife is away.
On the new grass.
Well, Janet is away. That's right. The new grass isn't very great, but
Yeah.
we'll wreck what there is.
Wow, Mrs. Speed Shop is out of here.
Yep. All right, let's show you the Tillotson removal on these old German motors. So there's an M12 here and an M12 here. This one's real easy, right? You can get a wrench right on it. No problem. What about this one? You can't really get it from above. You can't get it from below. Half of you are screaming, Nutter, use a crow's foot. Well, problem with the crow's foot is, you can see, it's not deep enough. It hits that throttle there. So what we need to do is we need to take a junky 12 millimeter wrench and put a bend in it. So, because it's narrow enough, it'll shoot through here. And then we'll put a screwdriver or something through the hole after it's bent. That's how we'll get it apart. So, we're going to measure first, and then we're going to make the special wrench. We'll show you how we're measuring that. Even that's kind of neat. So, here's how I'm going to measure for this, right? It's pretty hard to, like, get a caliper in there. So, I'm just going to, like, do a bend and make it too long. Just a 90. And I could see about how long it is. That's about too long. So then, I'm going to trim off some, still leave it kind of long, and stick it in there. And well, that's actually about perfect. So that's just got the clearance. So what that measurement is from the inside of the nut pocket here, that'll be to the outside of the wrench when I bend it.
Your thumb is really fat.
My thumb is fat. So the bend is going to happen about right
there.
Right about there. So we're going to get out the super hot torch, not the propane torch, and we'll make a quick bend. Just a little heat. I would think that'd be pretty close. We'll have a beer and let that cool off.
We got to get a screwdriver.
Yep, Lonnie's pulling the carb. He's already got it figured out. Yep.
Okay.
Screwdriver, get the bottom cable off first.
Okay.
That's why I brought you this. There, I'll just do it.
There we go, yep.
And then, yeah, you can take that loose and get that top cable off. You know, different sleds will be different on how the throttle cable's attached, but that's how this one is.
You got to take that all the way apart?
You gotta get it pretty loose.
Yeah, there
we go.
There we go.
Pretty bleeping loose.
Yep.
I'll have to bleep that.
Yep.
All right. Then we want to get the fuel line off.
Yep. God, I love those gold clamps.
They're nice. People, if you're looking for those fuel line clamps, look in the description. And then we got to get this impulse line off. I don't care if you take it off the motor or the carb, because we're changing that to a piece of black rubber hose.
Okay.
Now,
Comes off.
all right, first thing.
The impulse is on there because
This is the impulse.
I know, because the pump is on the bottom of the. Holy.
Yes, it is.
Aha.
All right, Lon.
Aha.
Crack this one good and loose first before you even try the other one.
All right.
You want to flip the fancy belt guard out of the way? We could.
I can get around it. A tink. Okay.
All right. You can only go so far.
Is there
It's
enough?
captured.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there enough room to actually get that nut all the way out?
There is when you loosen the other side.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
All right. This thing's been over here cooling. She's cool. There we go.
Cool enough.
There we go. All right. You know what to do.
Yeah, well, I don't actually, but
Well,
we're going to figure it out.
Get it on the nut.
That's what she said.
Well, we got a crow's foot right here, Brad. Hey, Brad's here, everybody. All you people complaining that Brad hasn't been on in a while, there he is.
I'm here.
So, looks like it
Oh, she came loose. Yep.
works. Oh, it did?
Yep.
I was going to tell you, here, put it back on. I was going to tell you the way to crack it loose was to put the screwdriver, through the opening
Oh, I
to
just
get
turned,
extra leverage.
I have those gorilla fingers. I just turned it.
That and who knows, T-Bone maybe never got it really tight either. This
I
carb's,
can see if you didn't have a special wrench, it'd be tough to tighten it too.
and you know why we made that special wrench today? Because it goes in the toolbox in the trunk.
Yes.
Every sled that needs a special wrench gets its own special wrench.
There you go.
And
then.
next time I'm at a place that sells cheap wrenches like a swap meet, I'll buy another 12.
Hello, Princeton.
Princeton's coming up. If somebody's got some junky old metric wrenches sitting out,
They'll be there.
I'll buy a few. And
I
we
see. Now you got to kind of walk it a little bit.
we approve of selling tools at swap meets. That's way different than garbage disposals. There we go.
I got her.
So you keep one of those spare in the trunk also, and not
Yeah.
just in case you drop it like that just happened.
All right. Should we go over to the Let's bring it to Grandma's antique
Grandma's antique
heirloom table.
Heirloom table.
Right over here.
Passed down generation
it's-
to generation.
It's not at all somebody's angle iron thing that held the fish aquarium that I welded up solid and we threw a piece of crap on top. All right, we'll be back, folks.
This will be fun.
It'll be great. So, little known fact about Tillotson HR carbs. Well, first off, you can tell it's an HR because it says HR on it. The thing that defines it as an HR is really the spacing of these holes and not the size of the bore in here. So you'll find HRs that are bigger and smaller. Now, I used to run this on the Skedaddler when I ran it in HR class, and I know because I did my research, it was like 12 years ago, this is the biggest HR. They don't get any bigger than this. And
Thanks, Farley.
1.36 inches. Oh, we'll get there. And then Greg sent these over. These are Skidoos off of TNT 340. Greg says these are for sure the biggest that Skidoo ever used for an HR. 1.36 inches. And this one, Lonnie, this is the make or break if we use this or a different one. 1.36 inches. So, we are going to use the carb that came on this sled from T-Bone. Alternately, we could use this one that was on the Skedaddler. They're pretty darn close. They're
One pulls, one pushes, doesn't it?
This is a 149 one, and this is an HR 68A.
68A. Yep.
But otherwise, they're, I mean,
Pretty
like
close.
the throttle's in the same place. The choke lever is the choke lever. The choke lever's angled slightly different. Otherwise, they'd probably be the same carb.
Fuel or the
impulse.
line. Yeah, the impulse.
You can actually turn that if you're careful.
Yeah. It's just press fit.
If you turn it too much, you'll be unhappy.
I'd rather not.
This side all looks the same. Now these Skidoo
This one's
carbs,
a lot cleaner than that one. Let's go with this one.
these are unusual in that they have the impulse down here in the stack. A lot of Skidoos get the impulse through the flange. So, but this is radically different, like where the throttle is. It's missing choke lever. It's got a return line on it that we're not going to use. So we're going to return these Skidoo carbs to Greg. The old Skedaddler carb's going to go back in its hiding place. And that's the guy.
All right.
You don't want to clean both at the same time? Might as well, or no?
I only got one carb kit.
Okay.
So we'll leave this together
Okay.
for reference. So we'll be back in a moment, folks. Hey folks, I'm going to tell you that the carb cleaning took quite a long time and would probably be an extra 20 minutes of footage on this video. And I don't really want to add it in because we've already done it on the channel. So instead, I'm going to put a card up here, I think. Maybe it'll be up here. It'll be up in the corner for another video where we've already rebuilt a Tillotson HD carb. It's actually very similar. So go check out that video. Come back to this one if you want to see this thing run because we're about to fire it up. Kill switch on, tether's plugged in, juicer.
Juice it up.
That ought to be plenty.
Eye drops.
Why eye drops? It measures more precisely than a bottle of Dawn dish detergent. Oh.
We got fuel pumping.
There we go, folks. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's pretty freaking cool.
Should we go run it?
It's loud. It runs.
Should we run it around the yard?
We could lock these puppies away.
Yeah, she seemed like she was running pretty goddamn good. Woo!
She was getting warm though.
Oh, yeah.
It did not enjoy 80-degree
Yeah, that last.
back-to-back hot laps. It didn't
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that last lap, I could smell it. Yeah.
But the fact that it held together, real good.
That's a good thing.
Real good.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's close this video out.
You ready?
Nope.
Nope. Those are victory beers, boys.
Yep.
This has been a long haul, especially for me personally.
You've been on it mostly.
And I've threw some good money at it, especially the track and drivers. But all in
the
the
one that knows it.
well, yeah. But the money I threw at it is going to make it more reliable, right? You can't win a race if your track ends up laying in the trail behind you. Also, if you leave your track, if it shreds and it's in the trail behind you, you don't have brakes.
That's not good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of need the track. But I feel great about it. It didn't ride wheelies out of the hole like the Skedaddler, but it didn't bog bad, which is amazing.
Especially today.
It's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
70 and 60% humidity out.
Yeah, it was 78 a couple hours ago when I looked. So it's humid, it's hot. It ran good. Amazingly, the thing that surprised me the most is it turned. Now, I did have to yank around the back bumper to get around my wife's lawn furniture back there. I didn't want to plow into that. But had that not been there, I would have been able to make those turns. And at the other end where there was no lawn furniture, well, anyways, this thing's going to handle great. With that new track and whatever is done on the skis works really good. Hats off to T-Bone, he did that. I like the way the exhaust sounds. How about you guys?
It actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the best exhaust that's legal in the
What's
class.
that from?
Well, it's from a lot of different sleds, but this one in particular came off of an AMF Skedaddler.
Oh, yeah.
But Donaldson sold them to anybody that would buy them.
Okay.
So, and it's like Donaldson air filters that you might use on your Dodge with the Cummins. It's that Donaldson, or your big rig with the Cummins for that matter. So it's all working good. I'm pretty happy with the clutching. Love the seat.
Love the seat.
From
Where it started, this sled looks totally, well, not totally different, but
I'm gonna have
rebuilt good.
I'm gonna have to put up some before and afters on
Yeah.
that for sure. The motor's real healthy. The clutching's good. We're ready to race. We do have to put on some lights to make it trail legal in Minnesota, because our race is technically just a friendly trail ride. Not to exceed 50 miles an hour, the Minnesota speed limit. Stop at every roadway.
Yes.
Yes.
That.
Stop or pause?
You're supposed to stop completely.
One
Well, that's
1,000,
Minnesota
two
style.
1,000.
Yeah.
Feet on the ground type?
So, anyways,
Both feet.
we'll be back with this thing when we get some snow, unless we decide we're going to do some one lung grass drags. Really dragging this outro out, aren't I? So let's go right to the patrons now. Want to do them?
Okay.
I'm doing the patrons. All right. Huge thanks to the patrons for your support of the channel. We really appreciate you guys. For those that don't know, the patrons get to watch all the videos early and ad-free. They get some extra videos from time to time, and they give us a little support each month. They help pay for the pizza and the beer and the parts.
Parts.
And you see their names up there. There are 2 screens now for the patrons. So really appreciate you guys. Everybody else, if you made it this far in the video, please hit subscribe. You know you like what we're doing. With the Sno Jet done, the next project is back to Patty, the RXL.
Ooh, Patty.
Yep.
Patty.
And unless something
She's got
crazy
some
comes
green
up,
shoes on.
well, Patty's getting done next
Patty's
no
a
matter
bit
what.
beat up right now. He's over there in the background.
Nah, she's weathered.
We're planning on doing my Ultra after Patty.
All right.
We don't know what we're buying at Princeton yet. There may be a project slipping in here from Princeton. And anyways, like before the snow flies, we want to have Lonnie's XC700 done. We want to have it done and rip it.
Ugh.
We got a lot of projects. So we got Patty, project or 2 to be named from Princeton, Ultra, and the XC700. So stick around. We're getting back into the 90s real quick. We'll see you at the Princeton Swap Meet will be done by the time we see this. We'll see you at the trails.
See you on the trails.
See you on the trails.